What's up, everybody? GeauxBurns doing another episode of my Discuss series. And the reason why we're doing it today as opposed to yesterday is because, well, yesterday I had to do a review of the third and final expansion of Mafia 3, Sign of the Times. By the way, next Wednesday, this is what we're doing. I'm going to go ahead and just put it out there right now. Q&A 27.0. Your opportunity to ask me whatever question you want, whether about Grand Theft Auto, Mafia, Red Dead, gaming in general, YouTube, personal advice, point of view on things, etc. Whatever you want to ask me, feel free to submit your question either below in the comments section, via Twitter, or Facebook by tomorrow, Friday. Yes, I know, not much of a deadline. I actually kicked off, opening the door for questions a few days ago on Tuesday. So, yes, you have an opportunity, if you haven't done so already, to submit your question for Q&A 27.0, which will happen coming up on Wednesday. Not yesterday, that's in the past. This coming Wednesday, next week. All right, so this idea I've had, and I don't claim to be the only one that's had this idea, by the way. I know there's other YouTubers that have made similar videos, but to my credit, I did mention it in a previous live stream a few weeks ago, and I even have proof that I came up with an idea. One of multiple ideas that other idea people have had with their idea machines in their brains. On July 10th, this is when I sent this email to Rockstar. Yes, I do come up with ideas, and I type them up, and I send them to Grand Theft Auto Online's email, probably to never get read, to be quickly spammed or thrown in the trash, never to see the light of day. It's just something I do, okay? And occasionally I like to use those ideas and make videos out of it. In fact, that was the premise for the very first video on the channel, which was over 3 years ago, with my idea regarding Bolingbroke Penitentiary as a place to put bad sports. I digress. So anyways, why do I want an adversary mode similar to PUBG, aka Battlegrounds? One thing I like to do on my spare time when I'm not making content, whether it's sitting here recording videos or editing videos or recording videos in my entertainment room, whether for like Let's Plays or live streams, etc., I like to relax, so I'm either watching something on Netflix or a new episode of a show I like. For example, Game of Thrones or Orphan Black or any other show that I'm into that happens to have new episodes. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Other things I like to do is watch other channels, whether it's content they make or live streaming. So not only am I a YouTuber, I'm also a subscriber. I'm also a viewer and fan myself. And one of the games I've enjoyed watching since it launched several months ago is PUBG, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. Now look, I don't claim to ever be good at a game like PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, but for some reason, I enjoy watching others play it, whether they're really good or they're really bad. But the point is, I think that this would be a fantastic adversary mode for Grand Theft Auto Online, which is why you've probably seen or heard other YouTubers, make similar videos, because I agree with them. I think that this would be a good adversary mode if it was done right. Because look, we've had some good, decent adversary modes. A lot of them kind of sort of suck. Yeah, they do. So here's my idea. I'm gonna throw mine out there. It's not original. I'm probably not the only one that came up with these ideas. I do not claim to be the originator. Okay, so my idea for this adversary mode, first off, name wise, would be Chicken Dinner, like Clucking Bells Chicken Dinner adversary mode. Now, why Chicken Dinner? Because that's what happens at the end of PUBG. Whenever someone actually wins, or duos win, or squad wins, it says winner, winner, chicken dinner, which is not something that PlayerUnknown came up with. That is a saying that dates back a very, very long time. And I've heard it over the years. So winner, winner, chicken dinner is nothing new. It's just become quite popular recently because of PUBG. So calling it Clucking Bell Chicken Dinner Invitational Adversary Mode or something tied into Clucking Bell would make sense, because Clucking Bell is the fictional chicken fast food restaurant in the Grand Theft Auto universe. I just thought that would tie in really good. So I'm going to read this letter that I sent to Rockstar, one they probably didn't even bother reading. It probably goes into the spam or trash, but at the very least, I thought, what the hell, I'll make a video out of it. And if you don't have a Q&A question, you are welcome to chime in with your thoughts, your views, and your opinion regarding PUBG-themed adversary mode. This idea has probably been submitted by others and possibly even discussed by the developers at Rockstar North, a PUBG Hunger Games LTS-type adversary mode with a GTA spin. Instead of several variations of the same adversary mode, it would be the entire map. That's right, the entire map. You know, some people would say, no, let's just have a map with Los Santos, or one with Sandy Shores, or one with Paleto Bay. I want the entire fucking map to be the adversary mode. Not multiple maps, not 7 variations, just one map. The whole shebang of Southern San Andreas. Continuing, but with a lot of randomness to this, like the direction that the cargo plane would fly. Yes, I think that the cargo plane would make more sense than using the Titan, because the cargo plane is way bigger, and the reality is you're going to have like up to 30 people in it anyway, so it makes more sense to fit up to 30 people in the cargo plane. Plus, it would just be cool to be able to have the cargo plane, you know, featured at the beginning of the game, you know, just flying around the map, and you jump out whenever you feel like it. So you jump out, and there would be like items along with drivable vehicles like scattered throughout the map, along with the bombing areas that would, you know, sporadically appear, supply drops, and of course locations as to where the bubble ends up zeroing in on. So one of the problems that you face when you play PUBG is not only other players trying to kill you, but you have to stay in the safe zone, because there's a bubble that keeps shrinking and shrinking and shrinking until it's like really small. It's only like a few yards at the very end of the match, but it starts off encompassing the entire map. But along with other players that you have to worry about, and the bubble of death, there's also you know areas where there's bombing that's going on that may or may not kill you if you're not inside of a building. Continuing, up to 30 unarmed players, because that's basically the limit of players you can have in any of these adversary modes or races in current gen for Grand Theft Auto Online. So up to 30. Each with 1 life, parachuting out of the cargo plane as it flies across the abandoned Southern San Andreas, lacking NPCs, and there would be weapons, ammo, armor, bulletproof helmets, health, randomly scattered throughout the map, along with some drivable vehicles. No time limit except the bubble, which I guess would be timed in its own way. It's like every 5 minutes the bubble would get smaller and smaller and smaller, and as the game progresses, I guess the time would increase. Like the first expansion would be like within 5 minutes. So you get 5 minutes to, loot, and then it gets smaller, then it keeps getting smaller and smaller. Maybe it just speeds up every minute or two until finally it gets to the point where it ends with only 1 player left alive. That's the entire point of PUBG. And games like PUBG, because they're not the original game, it's just they're the most popular one at the time. All players would be limited to what they could carry on them. For example, they would only be able to carry 3 firearms, like 1 pistol or SMG, and 2 additional slots for other weapons like a rifle, a machine gun, a shotgun, or a sniper. So you'd only be able to have up to 3 firearms on you. You'd have to pick and choose. You'd be like, okay, I've got this gun, I got that gun, but here's another gun. Okay, I really want that gun, but I'm going to have to make sacrifices. I'm going to have to drop one of my guns to grab that other firearm. So I like that idea as well, because that's one of the issues that we kind of have in Grand Theft Auto, is the fact you have tons of weapons on you. And you don't have to make that choice. And you have to all the time in PUBG. You would also be able to have a melee weapon as well. You would have a limited amount of throwables, like grenades, smoke bombs, for example. You would also have snacks for health. You would be able to have at least 1 bulletproof helmet that you could pick up off the ground, which would help give you some protection, along with 1 body armor. Once again, those items would not be in your inventory. You would just simply be able to pick them up off the ground and put them on. Now, the snacks might be tied into the inventory. I don't know. But going to the weapons, here's the weapons I would like to see in this chicken dinner adversary mode. Okay, so for melee, like a baseball bat, knife, machete, pipe wrench, just those various melee weapons scattered throughout the map. Moving on next, I would like to see, when it comes to the firearms, the Mark II weapons, because they're really good. And they also have some very sweet mods to them, like the pistol, SMG, the combat machine gun, the assault rifle, along with the carbine rifle, and, of course, the heavy sniper. And then, it's weird because there's no Mark II weapon for a shotgun, so we need a shotty in the game. Like either a bubble barrel or a double barrel shotgun, a pump action, a bullpup, the heavy or assault shotgun. 1 or 2 shotties would be really good, along with, like I mentioned, some throwables like the grenades and the tear gas. I wouldn't want sticky bombs or the other ones. Just grenades and tear gas would be enough. Along with ammo you'd have to pick up, and perhaps even if they want to make it even more complicated and complex, which probably wouldn't be the case, even like mods for the weapon. So you could go get a better scope, you could get like extended clip, magazine, etc., etc. But chances are, I doubt that we'd be able to do that in this adversary mode. It's not going to be as complex as it is in PUBG, but at the very least, it'd be really cool if we just had various weapons scattered throughout the map that we could pick up that were very good, and you could only be limited to say 3 weapons most. Like a sidearm, like the pistol or an SMG, and 2 additional firearm slots as well. Next, of course, we're going to talk about health. Now, health is very important in PUBG because you do get shot, you do get injured, but you can heal yourself. And there's already heals in Grand Theft Auto Online. A lot of these elements already exist in the game, which make it even easier to potentially make such an adversary mode. Health being one of them, because there's first aid, along with the ability to consume snacks, soda, as well as bull shark, testosterone, all of which can help improve your health and other abilities as well. Then, the body armor and bulletproof helmets, as I mentioned, they could have those scattered throughout the map. So you could pick up, body armor. That would increase your ability to take, damage along with a bulletproof helmet. Vehicles. So I think that it's important if we're going to have a game mode similar to PUBG as an adversary mode in Grand Theft Auto Online, and you use the entire map of Southern San Andreas, you got to be able to have the ability to get across the map as quickly as possible, because that bubble is going to start getting smaller and smaller. So I think that there should be vehicles, a decent amount of vehicles, not too many, not too little either. So these are the vehicles I think would work perfectly. The Sanchez dirt bike, the 4-person dinghy boat that we got from the heist update, as well as the Sea Shark jet ski. So you have 2, boat crafts, the dinghy and the Sea Shark, so you could get around in the water. The Doom Buggy, the Merryweather Mesa, as well as the Warner that we got from the hipster update. So those are the vehicles I would like to see drivable in this adversary mode, and obviously no aircraft. The only aircraft in the game is the cargo plane that you're going to jump out, or the Titan that you jump out, or I don't know, the cargo bobs. I really don't want to be a cargo bob because I'd rather, like similar to PUBG, the plane actually flies across the map, going different directions depending on whenever you're playing it, because it's all random. I'd rather it actually go across the map, allowing you to jump out in various spots, not just set in one location like with Dawn Raid, which is most recently involved the cargo bobs, similar to Drop Zone, but I digress. So no aircraft would be in this adversary mode. Only the Sanchez dirt bike, 2 boats like the dinghy, the Sea Shark, along with the Doom Buggy, Merryweather Mesa, 2 pretty decent off-road vehicles, and a car, the Warner. I think the Warner just has this feel and vibe that works in this adversary mode. Another thing I would like to see happen in this adversary mode is more accessible locations where you can find additional items, drivable vehicles, and even have firefights occur. Would be at, for example, Los Santos International Airport, Bolingbroke Penitentiary, News Headquarters, and of course Fort Zancudo, which means that Rockstar would have to have the gates unlocked. So you could roll into or run into LSIA, Bolingbroke Penitentiary, News Headquarters, as well as Fort Z, to make it easier to get in and out of. And of course, make some rewards, make some really cool weapons available in those various locations. Now, in the interest of preventing people from camping on the quote-unquote high ground, I would not have any items on skyscrapers, tall buildings, or the mountains, except for parachutes. Because some people are going to think, all right, I'm going to jump on top of the Maze Bank Tower, and I'm just going to chill there. And if the bubble happens to, go my way, and it ends up in downtown Los Santos, then I can just chill up here while everyone murders each other. I don't like that idea at all. So I would make it to where there's no weapons, no anything on top of skyscrapers, tall buildings, and of course the mountains, except for parachutes, so that you have no choice but to grab another parachute and jump off. And obviously tunnels, underground entrances would have to be blocked off in order to keep the players above ground, so they're not going and hiding underneath the city, similar to hiding on top of the Maze Bank Tower or Mount Chumash, camping. And I guess they can make it look really, really cool when it comes to barricading the tunnels and the underground entrances. Like, just put like abandoned vehicles all stacked up, like in the apocalypse or some shit. That'd be kind of cool. And then, of course, there would be random bombing zones, similar to what we talked about a moment ago, which happens in PUBG, along with supply drops, which would include weapons, ammo, health, etc. And, you know, crate drops is nothing new to Grand Theft Auto Online. In fact, back on last gen, we used to have crate drops all the time in the game, along with other awesome things in free mode, like armored trucks, which are now, unfortunately, gone with the wind. So they could use the crate drops for supply drops in this adversary mode. Another element that they've already built that they could just reuse in Chicken Dinner Adversary Mode, or Clucking Bells Chicken Dinner Invitational, or whatever the fuck they want to call it. Now let's talk about the map. The mini-map as well as the main map. When you hit the start button, players would only be able to see the bubble. You know, where the bubble is, where it's going, where it's going to shrink down to, what's a safe zone, what's not a safe zone. But they would not be able to see other players on the map. And that's something I definitely like about PUBG, is you have no idea if there's somebody in the same building as you are, or like on the other side of the wall, or hiding in a bush, because you cannot see them appear on the minimap. And the same thing should be for this adversary mode. We should not see anybody's dots or icons appear on the adversary mode. Even if they are camping, even if they are hiding in a bush waiting to snipe somebody that drives by or walks by. It just makes it more intense that we do not know who's around us until it's potentially too late. It adds a lot of tension to this adversary mode by not having people appear on the mini-map or the main map. In addition to no NPCs, there should also be like debris scattered throughout San Andreas, like broken down cars, planes, helicopters, trains that no longer run, which would also be good places to jump up into, loot, and even like fortify, you know, kind of like camp inside one of the train like things and hide and wait for somebody to come by and kill you or be killed by you, either or. Along with badly damaged military vehicles at Fort Zancudo, like the laser jets or tanks just run down, broken. You know, obviously some shit happened in southern San Andreas. It's abandoned and now it's being used for this adversary mode. This, you know, Hunger Games PUBG themed adversary mode. Yes, and of course, shot up squad cars at police stations as well, just to add a little ambiance to the game. To say, you know, some serious shit happened in southern San Andreas. We don't know what happened, but hey, it looks like a lot of fun to do an adversary mode, and it just gives it kind of a cool look and feel and vibe. Very similar to my idea regarding like boarding up the tunnels so that no one can go underground with like, you know, stacks of like abandoned cars. And there's already those props in the game that we have used in the custom creator for a while now. The ability just to, you know, put those for like death matches, LTSs, captures, etc., etc. Now we move on to the bubble itself, which I've alluded to once or twice. It should start off by obviously covering the entire map of southern San Andreas, but eventually, you know, it gets smaller and smaller, warning players in advance. Those outside the bubble only have a few seconds to get inside, or they're roasted like a chicken. This is where I think would be a cool like Grand Theft Auto spin. Instead of you simply just falling over dead, you just get burned alive. You just catch fire and just lay over ground, kicking and screaming on the ground. And maybe it says, instead of wasted, it says roasted. But that would also tie into the whole idea of calling it Clucking Bells Chicken Dinner, you know, Invitational Adversary Mode. That way you get roasted like a chicken. I know, it's a little corny. Anyways, so the randomness of the bubble is another factor that I think would be very important to this. It would not always zero in on downtown Los Santos, for example. It could zero in anywhere, like Paleto Bay, Sandy Shores, Grapeseed, Harmony, Cape Catfish, Chumash, Bolingbroke, Fort Zancudo, LSIA, the Vinewood Hills, Rockford Hills, East Los Santos, Downtown Los Santos, Mirror Park, Strawberry, Grove Street, Vespucci Beach, Raton Canyon, etc. That way it adds more randomness to the game. So you may play the game like a dozen or so times and you never know which way the bubble's going to go until it starts zooming down. So I think that's another factor that would make this adversary mode completely awesome, is that you just have no idea. I mean, you could drop like up in Paleto Bay one moment, and that's where it's going to go. But next time you decide, oh, you know what? I had a lot of luck in Paleto Bay. I'm going to drop there again. Oh, guess what? This time it's going to go down to Grove Street, baby. You're going to have to deal with the families and the ballers. Well, like I mentioned, the NPCs would not be in this adversary mode. But now let's get to the payouts. I think the payouts should be really good, especially since you're going to invest a lot of time playing this adversary mode, which is hopefully going to be a lot of fun. So the fun factor is very important when it comes to adversary modes, but also important is to actually get some money for your time. You know, you play the adversary mode, at least you get a few bucks. And I think you start off with at least $5,000 for participation in Grand Theft Auto currency. You get an additional $5,000 for each kill you get. So if you get like 2 kills before you die, you would end up with a grand total of $15,000. You know, $5,000 for participation and 10 G's, you know, for the 2 players that you killed. So as you kill more players, you rack up more money. And the grand prize for actually getting the chicken dinner for being the last player standing would be an additional $50,000. And I think the RP payouts should be decent as well, even though most people don't really care about the RP nowadays, because most people are already ranked up high enough. But they should still be, good payouts when it comes to the RP, along with Grand Theft Auto, payouts too, money-wise. Along with the money payouts for this adversary mode. Now, on top of being rewarded monetarily and through RP, I think there should be a little something more. Extra incentive to continue playing this chicken dinner adversary mode, which means some potential unlockable rewards for getting the chicken dinner. Like maybe at least 10 various unlockable items, like a Clucking Bell chicken dinner t-shirt, hoodie, cap, a helmet, a parachute bag, perhaps even Mark II weapon skins. And you could have 6 of those total, so you unlock one at a time. One for the pistol, one for the assault rifle, one for the heavy sniper. You get the idea. So there would be at least 10 or so unlockable items that each time you get a chicken dinner, you would unlock that. Okay, congratulations. You unlocked the t-shirt. You unlocked the hoodie. You unlocked the cap. Extra incentive to keep playing this adversary mode. So not only is it fun and intense, and not only is the payout pretty decent, especially if you do really good and you go far, but by having these unlockable rewards for, getting the chicken dinner first place in the Clucking Bell chicken dinner adversary mode, it just adds a little something extra for you to, aspire to get, to collect all 10 or 12 or how many unlockables would be available for getting the chicken dinner in the Clucking Bell chicken dinner adversary mode. So I would love to see this epic adversary mode added to Grand Theft Auto Online. I very much would, because I love watching PUBG. Chances are I'll probably never play it myself. If I did, it would be after I got an awesome gaming rig and started streaming. And it would only be because I'm playing with other streamers like Azralin, who loves playing PUBG, along with Friday the 13th. That's the only reason why I would do it. And chances are, if I do it, I would probably get severely wrecked. And you know what happens when I get wrecked? I get very, very salty. But at the same time, I think this would be a fantastic adversary mode to add to Grand Theft Auto Online. And no, Rockstar is not stealing the idea from PUBG, because PUBG are not the originators of this premise. And to be honest, a lot of the other adversary modes tie into other games as well. Like Slasher has a horror theme to it. Deadline, obviously that's taken from, Tron, Light Cycle Races, Hasta La Vista from Terminator 2 Judgment Day. So there's really nothing original about the adversary modes. And I think that that's okay, as long as the adversary modes are good and epic, and they feel like that Rockstar put a lot of time and effort into it, and there's a lot of replayability, along with decent payouts and even unlockable rewards. While once again, I don't claim to be the originator of this idea, not by a long shot, I still believe that a chicken dinner adversary mode, PUBG adversary mode, whatever you want to call it, could, if done right by Rockstar, could very well be one of the best adversary modes in Grand Theft Auto Online.